190 episodes into this anime thing, we have the return of Tori for a special horror anime episode. I can't wait. Glad to have you back. Horror.
Horror. Yes, I have
Scary,
returned.
spooky.
The man, the myth, the legend has returned for some reason. Oh, I mean, okay, it's Higurashi because, I like Higurashi. It was one of the first anime I ever watched. It's fun.
One of the first ones. It's
one of the first ones.
It's quite the starts.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I think it was the fourth anime I ever watched, technically. So,
Oh.
I mean, listen, I went into this. I like horror. I've always liked horror. I saw this and I was like, I like horror. What's horror anime like? And then I was like, this probably doesn't qualify as horror, I would argue, but that's close enough.
Yeah, psychological horror, gory.
Yeah, gore, suspense, mystery, more so than horror. But yeah, it has horror elements. I just wouldn't classify it like straight horror because, I mean, unless you are extremely terrified by psychotic people, I guess, then yeah.
I mean, there's some creepy,
absolutely horrifying.
There's certainly some creepy stuff in there, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It has horror elements. I just wouldn't classify it as like a proper horror because, like, if you were to compare it like horror genre wise, this would fall closer to like slashers, like 80s slashers, rather than straight horror.
Well, the show does take place in 1983.
It absolutely does.
That does make sense to me.
Yep. But it is still technically a mystery, more so than anything else, because that's the main point of the story.
Well, you don't really understand that until the second season.
No, you do not.
Otherwise, you just kind of get a rinse-repeat formula every 4 to 5 episodes, but certain circumstances...
The greatness of watching this the first time when I was like, man, what the hell? They just killed off everyone, and then I boot up the next episode and I was like, wait, hold on.
Yeah, I remember watching it the first time, and I was confused that way too. I was like, oh man, is this going to be another like Haruhi Suzumiya nonsense? And
kind of.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
Kind of is. Hickey, how you been? How is your staticky microphone wire?
Dying, just like I am.
Dying just like you, inside or outside?
Both. I am absolutely. I have the worst hangover right now.
Oh man, I just talked about having a hangover on the video game podcast with my host as well. So everyone's hungover. Tori, are you hungover?
I didn't realize we were supposed to be hungover today.
Well, apparently it was an unwritten rule that you need to be hungover right now. So what is the best way we can get you hungover the quickest?
None. I don't really have any alcohol here, so.
Oh, man. What do you mean you don't have You know what? You guys talk. I'm going to get a beer right now. I'll be right back.
My God. Maybe coming back was a mistake.
Just thinking about alcohol. I don't want to think about it. Yeah, well, I had a nice night. Let's just go with that.
Damn. I did not. Well, I mean, I had a decent night. I slept well, I guess. But God, I had to work yesterday, even though it's Saturday, because I have to work every other Saturday. But, it was good news because it was a holiday, so that meant that I got off 3 hours early.
It's Miller time.
But the bad news about me getting off 3 hours early is, well, it's a holiday, which means that everyone and their mother shows up to do their final shopping before we close. Because the store is now closed for 2 days, so everyone is having a meltdown because they just realized that they have nothing and they need to stock up on everything so that they have food supplies for the next 3 months.
Yes, that's how this works.
The store will be closed for 2 days. Yes, and of course, because everyone's so nice, they always decide to show up 5 minutes before we close. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that.
Gotta get your emergency shopping in. You never know.
Longer than I have to be.
You never know the next time you'll ever get toilet paper ever again.
Yeah, like in 3 days when we open again.
And obviously, all the milk needs to go. All the heavy perishable items, gotta get them all.
It's just it's insane. Why? It's 2 days.
That's 2 days too long, sir.
Yeah, apparently it is.
Oh, man. This beer is delicious right now.
I'm sure it is.
I'll get
I
hungover.
literally
I'll
just
get
said, "Why
hungover
is-"
again for you, Tori. I'm doing this for you.
Yeah. You're doing it for me. Yeah. Nah.
That's how close we are as friends. I will get the hangover for you on behalf of half of you. I care about you and your hangover.
What the hell happened while I was gone? Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, I was gonna say, I almost was gonna say, man, you guys changed. But to be fair, it's not even. When I was there last time as well, man, the alcohol problems.
What do you mean problems?
I don't know. I seem to remember people getting
I mean,
drunk.
I
multiple
have a
times.
beer, and alcohol doesn't have one. Alcoholic.
I guess.
Yes, that's true. No, I mean, every podcast now, it's Hickey and I drinking and talking about anime.
I believe that. Yeah,
It's great.
I absolutely do.
What
I
podcast
absolutely do.
would be incomplete without alcohol?
We're gonna
Sure.
want to think about alcohol right now.
The one day he doesn't want to think about alcohol.
Yeah, he's like, oh my god, we're supposed to record on Saturdays because I'm always hungover on Sundays. That's the
Maybe I
rule.
can.
You're throwing us off, Tori. You really are.
What do you mean? I said I was at work. I did say we could record, but it would have to be later. It wouldn't even have worked because I was sleeping when you guys would have recorded anyways. I was absolutely dead.
God, what are
I
your
might only
hours?
have had
Like
a
6
5-hour
p.m. to
shift.
3 a.m.?
But goddamn. That is the longest 5-hour shift I've ever had to endure. And I've never talked to more people in my life, and I'd never want to do that ever again.
Boy, oh boy.
Like I said in the private chat, fuck everyone.
Fuck people. God. I talk to
Dude.
more people, but everyone's an asshole.
It's you never really truly understand how awful people are until you have to deal with them directly, especially if you're doing so in a service profession. That is the worst. The worst.
No, I agree. Wait till you get to manage people. Oh boy.
Thankfully, I don't really ever want to manage people, so I hope that never happens.
Ugh.
I don't want to be
That's,
responsible for what other people do.
That is a
That's-
next level of patience there. I have been assigned human resources type duties
Yay.
over the past couple weeks, and fuck me. That needs instead of every company having an HR on site, you need to have an on-site psychologist.
Yeah.
The
believe
bullshit
so.
people just lie to your face about is incredible.
I mean, to be honest, if I ever do become a manager of some sort, I aspire to be like my manager. You know, supposed to work until 3, but he was out the door before noon, because fuck that. He knows what's coming. He's not going to be there for that.
Oh, see, that's
You
working
guys are on your
smart.
own.
That's working smart, not hard, Tori. That's why
Exactly.
he is in the position he is, not you.
Exactly. It's like, you know what? I'm out of here.
Yeah. I mean, now that I got my position, not the HR one, but just in general, it's like, I could come into work an hour early and leave 3 hours early. What a brilliant idea. I got golf to play.
Where are you going? Oh, I just have some stuff I need to do outside the office. Work related. Don't worry.
Absolutely. Yes. Golf is work. It's very hard sometimes.
Exactly.
Boy. Well, Hickey's a lawyer. He needs to pick up golf at some point. I'm pretty sure that's a requirement of the job.
It really is.
Yeah.
How else is he going to get like big clients, you know?
Exactly. The big money clients play golf. You need to pick up the game, Hickey. That's what we're saying.
The big money clients are, shooting AKs in favelas. I don't think they
Oh
play
shit, then I
golf.
guess you got to pick up that too.
You gotta pick up skeet shooting. That's what that sounds like. And if it was in Tori's neck of the woods, you gotta also ski and shoot. That's how it works.
It is.
Okay. Enough of that. Tori,
Yes.
you've watched like what, one anime this year besides Higurashi?
Yeah, so far I've mostly watched one anime. Yeah?
Yeah? Tell me about it. Tell me about this one thing.
So this season, a little show known as My Hero Academia Vigilantes, or Illegals, I guess technically, is airing. It's just more My Hero Academia. It is literally just more My Hero Academia. But except this time, the main crew of people are, vigilantes. They don't follow the rules. They don't care. They punch villains in the face, just like the heroes does. But in their case, it's illegal. Therefore, they're illegals. Therefore, they're vigilantes.
So the whole
And that's
premise
it.
of this is these are people that like didn't qualify to be licensed heroes, and so they're just kind of doing it on their own for no money.
So the way it works is like the fucking what's his name? Hold on, I'm looking it up right now.
That one guy that does the thing. Yeah, I got you.
Knuckle Duster is this sort of hero
Knuckle
name,
Duster.
villain name. Technically, he is a guy who has a very warped sense of justice. Like we have this drug that is being distributed that basically enhances people's quirks, so it makes like regular people who's not like heroes or villains
Yeah, PCP.
become like, they become like big villains, right? And he is out there to trying to stop that. But rather than doing things the hero way, which is waiting until someone does something that's against the law and illegal and then coming in and stopping them, he wants to take on a more active approach. So he goes around punching people in the face and forcing them to show him his their tongues, basically. Because if they're black, then they're on the drug, and then he gets to punch them more. That's basically his thing. He doesn't care if you've done something yet. He wants to stop crime before it happens, essentially. And the only way he knows how to do things is punching. He has no special abilities, nothing really of any note. He is just some dude with brass knuckles and punches hard. That's his thing. So, that's what he does. He then ends up picking up a guy called Koichi, who's just some nobody with a terrible quirk of gliding, as long as he has at least 3 limbs attached to the ground. And he also ends up picking up a girl called Kazu, who is an idol, and also can jump. And they just sort of go around and they try to track down what the hell is happening with these minor villains that are suddenly going on a rampage and trying to figure out where this drug is and who's distributing it and what's happening, and the occasional crossover from the main series happens, and it's literally just My Hero Academia. It's the same thing. Villains appear, they get punched in the face, they get arrested, we move on. That's all.
So is there any like risk in this show of these vigilantes getting arrested by the actual heroes?
No, absolutely not.
Well, that sounds kind of lame.
Literally not. They have gone face to face with the heroes, like our main character Koichi. He literally came face to face with Ingenium.
Okay.
Like the Ingenium here, the fucking sprinter dude, right? And he basically figured out who he was and all of that, and he was like, honestly, I kind of respect it. Because the entire point here is that the difference between vigilantes and heroes are literally just that heroes has a badge and vigilantes do not.
Mm.
Literally, that's how they sort of cover that entire spectrum of villain, vigilante, and hero. The heroes aren't necessarily the good guys. They're simply sort of state-mandated people that are allowed to keep peace, and also are mostly just faces for the people to support, which is why the entire hero thing is just a giant popularity contest, really, and nothing more. And villains are people that, are less popular with people, and they're, causing hurt, and they want them stopped. And there are certain rules in place because they're essentially trying to prevent, the government is essentially trying to prevent just vigilantism to be a thing. Right? That's what they don't want. They don't want to have a situation where people are carrying out their own justice. That's why the hero system exists. But some people just don't agree with like the popularity thing of how it works and be like, nah, I want to go out and prevent crime, not just stop crime, right? So that's why vigilantes exist and blah blah blah. But no, every time so far they've come face to face with a hero, Knuckle Duster coming face to face with Eraserhead, and that's how we know that he doesn't have any powers, because Eraserhead tried to erase his powers and nothing happened. So but other than that, once he saw that nothing happened, he was like, well, I guess you're not a villain then, because you don't have any quirks, so therefore I'm not going to do anything to you. I don't really care that you're going around punching people in the face for no reason. That's not our jurisdiction. That's for the police to deal with, and the police are never going to touch them. So no, there's no risk, no risk whatsoever.
Sounds like the show's missing actual conflict.
Yeah, they don't really want any conflicts. It's literally just going around punching different villains in the face every episode,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Is-
trying to find that one person that's responsible for distributing this drug, which isn't even the main person, but that's a different story, I guess. It's again, it's My Hero Academia. It's literally just My Hero Academia again. There's no difference there. It's just in the main series, you have people that have a badge and are called heroes, punch people in the face, regardless of whether they follow the rules or not. Doesn't really matter. And in this one, you have people that don't have that badge, and they're still punching people in the face, whether they did anything or not. Nothing's changed.
Well, speaking of nothing's changed, Hickey, I have not watched Uma Musume Cinderella Grey.
I realize that. Which is a shame. And you're missing out. So
Tori, do you agree with Hickey that I'm missing out not watching Uma Musume?
No, I don't.
Okay. Hickey, what say you to that? Do you agree with Tori?
again, it's not to agree or disagree. You guys are missing out, and it's
Okay.
a shame on you, not on me.
Shame on me.
Nah, I'm good. No, I'm good. I have no interest in Uma Musume, so doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, we're all going
I
to
don't
watch the
care if I'm
bowling
missing
anime
out on
next
the best
season,
thing in the
right?
world.
We're all going to watch the bowling anime next season, right?
There's a bowling anime next season?
There is a
Oh,
bowling
fuck.
anime next season, Tori, called Turkey, Time to Strike.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's... Why Turkey?
Well, Turkey means 3 strikes in a row, sir.
Ah, I see.
See, you watching this coming bowling anime, Tori, will get you to know me better. Because you get
God.
to understand what I talk about all the time when it comes to this wacky sport that I play.
Uh-huh.
Now,
Yeah,
will these cute anime girls bowling have the same drinking habits that I do? Probably not. But just imagine if they're all drunk bowling all the time. That's kind
that
of
would be great. That would be funny. I would love that. But, I don't know. Sadly, I was never interested in bowling. That was not my favorite sport.
Well,
I
maybe
sadly
this
had an
could
interest in
make it your
football.
favorite sport, watching this anime.
No.
Yeah.
No.
For
No,
sure.
never.
It's going to happen.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I refuse.
Well, we already established if you pick up golf, that makes you a richer person.
Yeah, I know. We established that the moment you picked up golf. It's literally the first thing I said when you said you were going golfing. I was like, wow, look at JD. He's rich.
Right, so if you pick up golf, you will also be rich.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't think I can afford to pick up golf, but yeah.
When you do, you'll be able to be rich.
You know what? You are absolutely right.
See, that's how this
when
works.
I can afford to pick up golf, I will be rich.
It'll get you to the end goal of life much quicker. How do you know when you're successful? When you take up golf. That's when you know you've reached it.
You will be rich when you pick up golf. Yeah, of course I'll be rich when I pick up golf. The fucking fees you have to pay to get into a golf club and actually get to play on fucking golf pitches and whatnot. Yeah, of course I'd be rich. I can't afford that. Never mind the equipment.
Oh god. I got some new clubs recently, trying them out. They're nice. Little Cleveland Highbore action. It's great.
Yeah, I'm sure they were expensive.
No, not these.
Very, come on. We already know. You go and you ask for the most expensive stuff, and I'm like,
Well, the more
Missing a
expensive
zero
stuff
on
you buy, the better golfer you become. We all know that to be true.
exactly. You go up and you're like, I don't know, man. That's kind of missing a zero on the price tag. I don't use dog shit like that.
Oh man. All right, should I play this drop and we start talking about this horror anime?
Sure.
Okay,
Yes.
here we go.
Now, it's time we start dealing with the business at hand.
20 minutes in, it's time to talk about Higurashi, When They Cry. Okay, so it came out in 2006, the spring. It's a 26-episode show. There is a sequel to it.
Multiple sequels? Multiple sequels?
So, okay, this is what I don't understand. What can someone explain to me what the Go series is? Because I didn't know this was a
Higurashi
thing
Go?
until recently.
Oh, so Higurashi Go was touted as a remake of the original series,
Okay, so
which is what
that's
it baits you into believing the first couple of episodes until they suddenly hit you with a twist and you realize that this is actually a surprise sequel.
because this is what happened. I'm like 10 episodes into watching this one, and then I noticed, oh, it's on Crunchyroll. Okay, so I start episode 11 on Crunchyroll, and it says go. I didn't think much of it because I'm like, oh, I know what the sequel is, so this must be. And as I'm watching, I go, oh, this must be an absolute just remaster or remake or something that's the same thing. And it starts off exactly the same. It's just the characters have shinier, more whatever hair that is. And I go, okay, so they dolled it up a bit, and it's the exact same thing. I don't know what's different about it, because I watched like 4 episodes, and it seemed like it's the exact same thing. What is so different between
I haven't seen
Go
it.
and this?
That's the problem. I can't really call the difference on it. I'm gonna go back and watch at some point. I just lost interest in it because when I watched it, I was with you. I also thought it was literally just a remake because that was what everybody was talking about. That was what they were saying. It's a remake. It's a remake. It's a remake. I think it's the ending that's different, but I'm not entirely sure.
Hickey, are you familiar? Are you aware of what it is?
I know. Yeah, I know. Go is likely different, but I didn't watch it because it was like they're reviving Higurashi to sell a gotcha game
Yeah.
about Higurashi. So I was like, I don't feel like going that route. I was like, well, I've already watched the first Higurashi. I don't see a reason to rewatch it with a different character designer. See no reason to watch it.
Okay.
I'll probably watch it at some
Sotsu
point. So I'm curious about what the
sequel.
difference is. I mean, god damn it, I
Sotsu is
watched
completely different. So
I watched fucking Day and Outbreak as well, and those are still technically also just sequels to Higurashi because that's still part of the actual original writing. Well, original writing, they kept adding more and more to Higurashi. The games, the novels, the visual novels, sound novels, or whatever the fuck. So Day is absolute garbage, and the Outbreak is meh. It's okay. It exists. I'll probably want to go at some point and just see like what changed. Who did they do? What did they do? But I also definitely want to get, like me and Hickey were talking about. I also want to get because I have chapter 1 of the sound novel of Higurashi. I want to get the rest of it as well, just to see like what that is like actually.
Oh, I have
Comparing
that
that
on
to the
Steam
anime.
as well. Now that you mention it.
Mm.
yeah, the first
Like the game I
episode
kept
is
for free.
free.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot of information that is left out of the anime,
Mm.
and so some stuff don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, because they expect you to already know.
Yeah, this is saying that you're right, Tori. It was advertised as just a straight remake, and then they changed like 2 things, kind of like what Hickey said, just because of a gotcha game.
Mm.
And it's quote unquote a sequel, but it's just like one changed part of the story that doesn't matter because of what we know as the sequel and what ends up happening.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'll still watch it.
whichever. I think it hardly matters in the end, because I watched like 6 episodes of Go and I didn't see any difference. Or maybe
Yeah, no, I
because
didn't
it's
see
been
any
so long,
difference
I
in the
didn't
episodes I watched either.
like think of anything of it. But anyways, so Higurashi, long ass summary here. Keiichi Maibara has moved to the quiet little village of Hinamazawa in the summer of 1983 and quickly becomes inseparable friends with schoolmates Reina, Mion, Satoko, and Rika. However, darkness lurks underneath the seemingly idyllic life they lead. As the village prepares for its annual festival, Keiichi learns about the local legends around it. To his horror, he discovers that there have been several murders and disappearances in the village in recent years, and they all seem to be connected to the festival and the village's patron god, Orishiro. Keiichi then tries to ask his new friends about these incidents, and they are suspiciously silent and refuse to give him the answers he needs. As more and more bizarre events occurs, he wonders just what else his friends might be keeping from him. Madness and paranoia begin to take root in his heart. He will stumble straight into the mysteries at work in Higurashi, a story told across multiple arcs, and that's the key. Every 4 to 5 episodes, you will get a new, I guess, newly told story / arc to each kind of timeline. And while I was first watching this, it just seemed like we were just getting a different timeline of something that occurred going up to the festival that changed events. Now, as we get to the end of the last couple arcs, some things come together to give you more answers, but seemingly every arc kind of fills in a void of the mystery or a void in the background over this building of a dam that was going to occur in town, and the madness and paranoia that comes across an individual character for each arc. So arc 1 is Keiichi, for example. He slightly goes insane with Reina. Arc 2 is Mion going crazy. You learn she has like some Yakuza family background. Arc 3 is Satoko with getting abused as a child here. And the list goes on. It's kind of a one at a time thing, and how villagers and our main group of characters go insane and murder in each and every section. I mean, shit, the very first scene you see when you turn this on is someone beating people to death with a baseball bat. And you just hear the squishes and blood splattering everywhere, heavy breathing. It kind of sets the tone of how uncomfortable this is supposed to make you in sections.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Hickey about that, and my sort of perspective on that is like, I'm almost certain that the reason they did this, it almost feels like they're doing this because they don't really have much faith that people will stick around for the twist. Because arc 1 starts with seeing like the climax, right? Not the full climax of arc 1, but a part of it. So you're like, whoa, what is this? But you don't have context for that, so you won't know that that's coming at the end. So, once you come full circle, it's like, okay.
I think it's absolutely by design.
The show itself starts out being very different, right? It's like, man, this is so gory and bloody. What the hell? And it's like, wait, this is like generic as shit. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. We're swinging back into bloody gore again. And then for the second arc, they mix it up by showing a scene that won't take place until almost the end. Which is very weird. And I'm still debating with myself of whether or not they did that intentionally or if it's by mistake. Because after that, they kind of dropped that. So it's like, I wonder, did someone fuck up and just put the wrong scene in? I'd believe it anyways. But no, it basically just tries to set the tone for what happens. And yeah, like you said, this is a weird one because it feels like, knowing that this is based on a visual novel, it obviously feels like you're dealing with like different scenarios and different arcs. But the fact is, you aren't actually. They are, and this is why I say this isn't really, Higurashi isn't really a horror, but more so a mystery. Because the entire center of this is the mystery surrounding Hinamisawa and Oyashiro-sama's curse. That's what we're trying to figure out. So every reset isn't so much a reset as much as it's a different timeline or a different world, as they say, where you learn more about the events of what happens. You also get sort of indications that some things overlap, which is why weird things also start happening. But you have these things going on, and you will see them from different perspectives. You see them from different characters. That's why you learn more about Mion and another character. That's why you learn about about Shion, and you learn about Rena and whatnot. Like you start to see that because there's a lot of stuff that you were told right away or that you saw, but you won't learn until later, like what the full context of this is and how what you thought happened or what you saw as happening in those first episodes turns out to not actually be entirely what happened, but you don't know that until you've seen it from the other side. And that's supposed to be brought down to like combine and understand the mystery, which is what that final arc happens when they finally overcome that going insane thing, and everyone is happy until, Rika looks into the camera and reminds you that it's not over because we're now once again back in a different timeline, a different world, and we're going back to the start. Why is that? Are we still continuing this? Because you forgot one thing. The mystery is still not solved. What is happening? What is Soyashiro-sama's curse? It's becoming quite apparent that it's not just simply supernatural, but what exactly is going on? Who is responsible? What are they doing? What are they trying to do? What's the goal? And why will it always end in, the tragedy for Hinamisawa?
Yeah. What throws me off is, I think Arc 1 is done well to kind of set up what we're meant to be going through with Keiichi Maibara learning more about Hinamizawa. And is Hiki trying to talk?
No.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. So you're trying to learn with Keiichi what Hinamizawa is and its background and the dam, and then you get the creepy realizations of showing like Mion and Reina kind of having this weird split personality when he starts asking questions. And I'm like, dude's just asking questions. It's not like he can't just read a newspaper of the past and then just go, hey, I read a paper from like last year. It said there was like a bunch of people that got beaten to death because this dam was being built. What's up, bro? And they're just like, nothing happened. How dare you ask that? You keep asking questions, we will try to murder you. And he's like, wow, that's weird. They got the little cat eyes going on about it. But I do like how he's getting more and more paranoid because of them giving him food, and there's a needle in it. Him slowly losing his mind and slamming the door on Reina's hand, right? And then if you notice in the next episode, her hand's totally fine. Or it was later in the episode, whichever. It's not wrapped up or anything. My favorite part was certainly when he's talking on the little dial phone to the cop, who always seems to not give a shit about people getting in precarious situations. He just wants to solve the mystery himself. So he's talking, and then the father comes up and he's like, "Hey, Reina was just up here. I know you're a rambunctious young tyke, but here's some tea." And Keiichi's like, "What? There was no check here." And then it cuts to her just kind of watching in the distance, and like it's raining outside later. That was after he slammed her hand in the door, and she's going, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Very creepy stuff. That's done well. And then when it does the alternate timeline or the next like plot mystery for the next arc, the kind of weird split personalities is totally gone. And we go into seemingly these characters aren't acting like they were before. And that throws me off the most because I go, seemingly their entire personalities change. Like Reina, for example, is kind of the most glaring one where she's like this bubbly ditzy girl. But then in another arc, she's this like super sleuth detective that's really smart. And I go, that's not how this should work. It probably should be about Keiichi being in that role, and Reina's the one that's in trouble. Roles just get switched and personalities switch too often that don't really make sense, even from arc to arc perspective to me. That throws me off for what this is supposed to be, a suspenseful horror mystery show.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the problems here is that this show does not do intelligence very well. I mean, keep in mind, Keiichi is supposed to be an absolute genius. He has done absolutely nothing in the show to prove that he is. If anything, he seems like an absolute retard, but, they're playing that weird middle ground of he is a genius, but also doesn't care about most things, therefore he comes across as stupid. Like, just, okay, cool. So
Kinda,
he's
yeah.
both.
Yeah,
He's an idiot and a genius. Fantastic. I sort of understand what you mean, But I think that is sort of the psychological aspect of this coming into play, because a lot of these characters, a lot of what you see, especially first, is essentially not entirely accurate representations of what happens. Right? Because the thing you gotta remember is Keiichi in that first arc, he's absolutely losing his mind. It's hard to tell entirely what is and isn't true, what he makes up. Some of it is explained, like a lot of Mion stuff, the weird Mion behavior gets explained by being it's not Mion, it's Shion, and she is absolutely losing it because, you know, the demon inside me, she's having an absolute psychotic breakdown. Right? So it's like that's kind of weird. I agree that Dena's personality change is a little weird, but I do like how she goes from like, I was given these documents that shows what happened, and then she starts reading. It's like that makes so much sense, which is strange given her previous context of being someone who firmly believes in Uyashiro-sama's curse. I mean, she
Right,
is
that was another
experiencing
one.
it supposedly, but then she, upon reading these notes, she immediately drops and be like, okay, so it's not real, and she has no more sort of visceral reaction to that than that. But I guess that's supposed to be sort of explained by the fact that she absolutely losing her mind going over these notes and just start believing in all sorts of conspiracies and aliens and whatnot. And this seems really strange. But this is where it's like one of those things where it's like context matters, and this is just context you haven't received yet. For someone like me or for someone like us who has seen the show before, you know what happens next. You know where this show goes. You know sort of what for a lot of the further developments in the mystery of what is going on in Hinamizawa is. So it's like then things sort of start making sense because it's like it's not so much about her figuring stuff out as much as it's about setting up something to happen. And yeah, so I do appreciate that how they at least try to make things work together. Not everything functions well, and I agree that there is a lot of suspension of disbelief and a lot of like you just kind of have to take their word that that's how it should be, right? We wrote it like this because this is how we believe that the characters will act, but it's like okay, but that goes against previous established convention. But I think that is the most egregious example of that. Whilst in the opposite example, the Mion and Shion saga, the situation with them, I think that was a pretty good sort of bait and switch because it's like, man, Mion really lost her mind, but it's like, no, she did not. It was not her that really lost her mind. So, makes a lot of that other stuff make sense for Keiichi. It's like, man, Mion, you've totally changed. And when you see it from the other perspective, you realize that it's Shion, and she just starts laughing. I was like, I mean, the reason why she totally changed is because it's not the same person.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's some narrative problems with Higurashi,
There are.
but it needs to remember a lot of stuff got cut out from the sound novel, so maybe Rena's change in personality is better explained in the sound novels,
It
and
probably
also they're
is.
going insane, so kind of like.
I mean, in the anime, we don't even know what made her change her mind. We know she read the Mio, like Takano's notes, but like we don't really know, like we don't get like a proper breakdown of exactly what it is she read. So it's like, that might be a very good reason for why she decided to be like, I guess it isn't true then, but we don't know because we don't really ever get to see that. We
I
only get some
knew it
cliff
was
notes
the
of what it
work of
says.
aliens.
That always makes me laugh when it comes to that. It's like, it's aliens that are frustrated. It's like, man, like you are absolutely losing your mind. And I mean, that's pretty apparent when every time she scratches at her neck, you just see like maggots and whatnot happening. But it's like, it's funny because like you'd think that would have a very visceral reaction for people, but absolutely no one's reacting to this other than her scratching her throat, which is relevant to previous things we've learned about people just scratching their throats, and that sort of shows that they are in fact going insane. But even for sort of Adena's arc, I do appreciate how she, because obviously having to tie the sort of arc to a conclusion to end season 1, I do appreciate how she became the first one in her own world to sort of realize that she was losing her mind and going insane and actually breaking out of it, because everyone else failed to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting anime. Also
Hmm.
separated in uh, four question arcs, which is for the first four arcs, and then four answer arcs, which we got two in the first season,
Hmm.
and probably like the best. The best arcs are the Shion ones, both the question and the answer arc.
Hmm.
You get a lot of because after that, Meyakashi, I think it's the name of the arc. You, although it's called Enso arcs, you start getting the resolution mixed together with it, and so it's not a pure answer to the questions that were brought up to the by the first four arcs. And Rena's arc is a little bit of that. It's not really tied to anything, but it gives you answers for questions you didn't ask as well.
Yeah.
And so, because you need to get a resolution, and then you have like Geichi realizing what he did in another world,
Hmm.
and a bunch of stuff that kind of muds the water a little bit when it comes down to the mystery and to everything you wanted to see answered. However, the original creator of Higurashi said there are enough clues in the first four arcs to solve the mystery. You don't need
Hmm.
the rest, so you can watch everything until Miyakashi stop, try to figure out the mystery, and then keep going.
I mean, and obviously, as
Although
someone
it's
who's
only
seen it,
the general mystery of it, because no fucking way you're gonna realize that the Mion Shion switch.
no, but I mean, like after all of it, right? I sort of agree with what he says, because obviously, hindsight, now I know everything. But one thing that becomes very apparent in sort of on my rewatch now that I didn't really question that much when I first watched it is that there are some things that you come to realize that you sort of end up writing off because of how it's presented to you in the context of when it happens, what happens, and that's how that sort of gets portrayed as like that happened. That's what sets off this spiral of events. You sort of just accept that, and then you try to figure out what happened from here and moving on without really questioning why did this first thing happen. So that's one thing that I think, especially with that last art, they really start throwing stuff at you that suggests that you aren't really looking at the full picture yet, or if you did, you would start to realize that there are weird things. For example, in the Dennis arc, you really suddenly start to notice these white vans that are running around. These weird non-name characters that are, clearly doing some shady stuff, but it's not really explained. But not even just that. In the previous arc as well, when they were looking for when we saw that they were looking for like the what the whole damn thing, right? The kidnapped mayor's son and whatnot, and they were looking for him. These same weird gray suit guys were around, and they were kidnappers, but they were also just strangely trained. But I mean, to be fair, that whole situation solved itself. It's okay. We don't really have to think about it anymore. But that is one of those things that you really take notice of the second time around, because it's like, yep, there's here we're starting to see a lot of those clues for things that you haven't even thought of yet. For most casual watchers that don't know anything about Higurashi, you wouldn't know, because there is nothing to suggest that there's something to look into here. You might look at these people and think that's strange. Maybe they have some sort of mix, but I, I guarantee for a lot of people, you wouldn't be prepared. You wouldn't be ready for sort of what exactly that is and where they're going with that, because We're obviously also going to talk about season 2 at some point. But man, like that's that's a that was definitely not something I had in mind immediately when I watched it, and didn't really think of until the goddamn show spoiled it. That is probably the most annoying thing about Higurashi and a lot of early anime. They really like putting spoilers in openings.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
I wish they
absolutely true.
didn't.
It's like
And
movie
season
trailers.
2 season 2 is the worst, is the most egregious example of this, because season 2's opening just puts like the spoiler just front and center for you to look at, and it's why the hell would you do that? Like,
Well,
that
you
is
spoke.
so bad.
Yeah, well, you spoke about you're able to get the ability to solve the mystery or have your resounding theories within the first 15 episodes. You get a lot of those theories in just the first arc with the guy in the van, the guys that come out of the van, the syringe that clearly when they inject Keiichi with it, and he's clearly now seeing Oishiro and claws his own throat out, you go, okay, so clearly there's like some drug that they concocted that make people go into a state of absolute hysteria, thinking it's the curse, which when the villagers propagate that as well, propaganda throughout the town, then when you get hit with this mind-inducing drug, you're gonna think you're cursed and this demon is following you, kind of deal. And then it also implies some of these other characters are being like injected with this to make them slowly go insane as well and be a part of it, or part of their crew saying, "Oh, in order to satiate Orishiro, this curse, you have to do X, Y, and Z for us." And a lot of that stems from the dam project that was going to destroy the town, and how is the main family that controls the town a part of this. You get parts of that in Arc 2 with Mion and Shion, and like the biker guys are threatening, and everybody in town kind of converges on them, and the show kind of blows it off as, hey, we got all each other's backs, but it's actually no, don't fuck with this kind of situation, or else we're all part of this crazy quote-unquote family. So you can get that together. What's not entirely clear is why does someone disappear as opposed to clawing their eyes out? And you get that answer in arc, I think it's 3, where it's everyone's thrown into this well that's in the like basement of Mion's house. So that's where the person quote unquote disappears, and the other commits suicide via the drug. Why they exactly do this? Is it because when you start asking questions about the town, that eventually the police will get involved, and they're just trying to nip that in the bud and keep anyone from doing that? Especially when it comes to outsiders that are always the targeted people? Yes, you can infer that too.
Yeah. I mean, so the way I always looked at that is because I think the thing is, because man, I don't even want to say that because this isn't really inferred from season 1, but there are multiple things at play. There are multiple people, and the thing that sort of is interesting is because, like I said, Oyashiro-sama's curse is at the center of it all, and then of course you have the 3 great families who are doing this, a lot of that spiriting away, because they're trying to preserve sort of their society, their people, and preserve them from like outside influence and from bad omens and whatnot. So for them, it's imperative that people believe in this curse, which is why a lot of this stuff happens. It's why they remove people, throw them into the well, just get rid of them. They're gone forever.
Yep.
They got spirited away, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is as well, there is more people. There's another group that is also using Oyashiro-sama's curse to spur this sort of mania in people, right? Which is why things often seems a little weird. Like, why did this happen like this and that? Because it's more than it's not just one family or one person or one organization that's doing these things. There's more to it than that, which is why things oftentimes feel like they don't connect because they aren't supposed to connect. They don't connect. But that's season 2.
That is season 2.
But from the question arcs, you can see well, and the answer arcs a little bit
Mm.
what we have so far. You can figure out who is the main villain.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I said, there's always that thing of just, you know, something you write off early on. Like it's a very classic sort of mystery thing of just like, who is it? Could it be someone that, got immediately written off as impossible, couldn't be them right at the start? Nah, couldn't be. I don't know. I kind of like the way sort of everything starts being like very supernatural, and then the more you lean into, the more you learn, the more you realize that the show really isn't that supernatural. And then just as that final like middle finger to you, because goddamn it, 7 expansion, they really do like this. They make sure that you also know that no, this is about as supernatural as it gets. Why do they do that? Just to keep you on edge, so that you think that they're just gonna pull some weird supernatural bullshit out of their ass at the end, because they can and they would and they have in the they have and they would do so in the future, but they don't have to. They're just keeping it there just to keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
But I really like Higurashi. Like, I even now, I don't like it as much as I did when I first watched it. Like, I see a lot more of the knowing what happens. I see a lot more of like the errors and whatnot, and things that I don't think are handled that well. But like, obviously on a technical level, the show is kind of not that good looking. But it's Studio Dean, and it's not peak Studio Dean. So
Okay, so yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. So it is Studio Dean who does this. It's mid 2000s Moe.
Yep.
Do you think that hurts the show, or is it like
Nowadays, yes, absolutely.
at the time it seemed more normal? I think watching it 20 years later, I mean, I get that it overemphasizes the craziness that they can draw the characters, especially with the faces and the maniacal laughing and all that. And I mean, that's cool. But yeah, I think the art design certainly hurts the show 20 years later. It just does not hold up in that sense to me.
For me, if it was just the faces, I would 100% be on board with this and be like, yep, no, I think that's fine. Because, like you said, the main point of the faces and the way sort of everything is made, like, is blown up, is used a lot for those, like, facial expressions and, like, the weirdness and really showing, like, how twisted these people become. If that was it, I would be 100% on board with it. The problem with Higurashi and the problem with the way Studio Dean made this and animated it in particular is that there are so many just inconsistencies and so many things that just on a technical level, animation, like draw quality, character design, just it falls apart. They lose, like, they mess up the character designs a lot. They make simple like drawing mistakes. They got caught up in like sort of what's happening and forgot what they were drawing and what was happening and whatnot and stuff like that. So it's like it gets dragged down a lot by like technical errors as well, which is why I say that I think it hurts it now. I think at the time it was okay, and people. I mean, again, this is early 2000s Studio Dean. People were more expecting this at this point because that was kind of the trend we were in right now, but right then. But nowadays, it becomes like with all the hyper focus on like, oh, this has to look really beautiful and look at all the effects and whatnot that we slap on everything nowadays. It's like those things become like extremely apparent.
Well, to me, what was worse was
someone's face twisting in pain doesn't save that.
Yeah. Well, what was worse to me was when I was watching parts of Go, the so-called not sequel. It just looked like everyone was wearing plastic helmets. It just looked much worse, and I ended up going back to the original. Because I'm like, I can't do that so-called remaster. It doesn't look mastered at all.
I don't like I don't remember who was it that did the Did the character design for the Higurashi remake? It's the same guy that did like what's it called? Plastic
Monogatari.
Glove, right?
Yeah. No, it's the same guy from Monogatari series.
Huh.
Is it?
Yeah.
That did the character designs in the remake?
I mean, it's very obvious if you look at them.
Eh. Not their best work. I'll put it that way. Yeah, I think I'll end with saying that I think the show is still good. I think it's still worth watching. A second time, it's a little tougher because all of the it kind of suffers from the same thing as a psychological mystery suspense show happens. Is once you kind of know it's like watching the first Saw for the first time. You know, it's like, oh, that dude on the floor, we know what happens to him. Kind of loses the mystery throughout the show, and then you're just kind of seemingly watching a gore show, a gore movie instead. I got that through a lot of this, where I go, okay, I know where we're going with all this. It's kind of a slog until I get to the answer arcs from after the question. So I found myself on my phone a lot, kind of paying attention less and less throughout each of those first 4 arcs until I started getting into the later ones. That was a little tougher the second time around. So in that sense, it's like when I'm thinking of a score for it, I'm not going to demerit it because I've watched it now twice. It just hits less like a mystery show would once you kind of know the answers.
Hmm.
So,
Well, I think Higurashi has so many twists and turns and characters actually lying to you that it has a little bit more interest to it than a normal thriller. And even if you know all the answers to the mystery and everything, there's still a lot of like history of the city, the rituals and whatnot that you can, when rewatching, you can pay attention to that.
oh yeah, I
Like
certainly found myself
completely
getting
forgot
other
about the
details.
cannibal cult. It was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. And then Rena explains why they ate humans because of the aliens, but aside the aliens, the bacteria, the infection, you need a strong antibodies. So they ate the body of the people who died from the syndrome. It's like, man, that's it's there's a lot of insanity below the mystery part. So I even watching, I think it's the third time that I watched Higurashi. It's still very interesting to me.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, nowadays you can just travel to Japan and go and see Inamisawa Village. Because now it's just a tourist attraction. But just a couple people living there still. Don't bother them, though.
Don't bother them. Yeah.
That's literally a thing. It's just if you before you are to be let in, you are to promise that you will not disturb the people that live there.
That's funny.
It is.
So what
I mean,
score?
like, it's a fascinating. Inamisawa is a fascinating sort of
Village.
village, right? Because it's like, it's kind of, it reminds me of kind of how things is here a lot as well for certain places, right? The sort of talk about like the big city life versus like the dying like rural towns and whatnot.
Sure, yeah.
Because we do have a lot of that here, where it's like places where only a couple people live at this point. It's like we kind of want to try to preserve that, but like it's really difficult because starting a business where there are no people, that's kind of hard.
Yeah, it's usually
worked
just
there, right? Like-
farmlands, though. That's kind of how that
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, but a lot of these places, or some of these places, they don't even have the ability to have farms, right? Especially in a weird like country like Norway, right? Just you can be unlucky and just have mountain around you, like having a farm with just mountains and rock and whatnot.
Oh, you gotta have your
not
your
easy.
goats, bro.
So, but yeah, no, I think the lore surrounding him is always definitely very interesting, and I also still really enjoy it, even though, like I said, obviously I agree with what you said, and that like knowing what happens that sort of takes away from it a little bit. Like, yeah, like that's the problem with Mistress, right? Like it's not,
Yes.
it's never as exciting when you know what happens. but I do still like watching it now because it's kind of cool spotting those things that I like, that I remember. Or like when I watched it the first time, I see things now that I made to go, oh, and that's that. So this is where like they really started coming into the picture, and I'm just like, I didn't catch that at all when I watched it the first time. Like I didn't even notice them pretty much.
Yeah, I
think
mean
that's
that's the
kind of fun.
benefit to watching those things the second time is you're able to pay attention to more things in the background going on.
There are details that you just sort of you noticed it, but you didn't think about it, right? You realize like, oh, I didn't even really think about that was something that I should have paid attention to.
Yeah, the old magician trick: put things in the background while you make the eyes focus on the foreground.
Yeah, but to be fair, they even go a step further than that. They sometimes just put the stuff right in the foreground as well. Just present it to you and be like, "There, look at that." Yeah, you didn't think about that, did you?
Mm-hmm.
So what's a score everyone's settled on? I'm sticking with an 8 when it was all said and done.
So for me, upon a rewatch, I'd probably say that I think an 8 is a fair score. Like, I'm just talking about like the quality and like the lacking, especially when it comes to like production stuff and whatnot. I definitely think that it ultimately is an 8. But I'm not changing my score of it. I am still keeping it. My score from when I originally watched it is a 10. I'll still keep it there because I absolutely love Higurashi. I want to play through the sound novel as well, read that and whatnot, and just I also want to watch it go. I mean, like I said, I really do adore Higurashi. It's not perfect, but as someone who likes horror, even though again I reject that this is pure horror, but as someone who also likes slasher movies and the good old 80s slasher movies and whatnot, like this show is just it's what I like. It's stuff I enjoy, and I think the mystery it's decently engaging. And I want to watch. I want to get into more. I like same thing. Umineko, another 7th expansion project. I also want to get into the sound novel for that because that's apparently also really good, but that's a really bad anime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with an 8.
Okay. So Tori is still the high man to this day.
I mean, you could just say that an 8. I've said that it is an 8.
Okay.
I just said it. Put
We're
it
going
at
with
10
the 8.
for myself.
In my heart is a 10.
It's I mean, I don't want to say it's objectively an 8 because I mean fucking objectively what it's a score, but like being realistic, I think an 8 is a fair. Like you could say an 8. You could probably even argue a 7, like and all that. But for me, it's a 10.
Nah, we've given out too many. We've
speaking.
given out too many 7s this year.
Have you? Man, I don't know.
Yeah, I think every
Haven't
show
been
but
there.
2 has gotten a 7.
Oh, God damn! I see you're joining Hickey on this. Everything is fine. Train.
I mean, that's just kind of where things have fallen and what we've watched so far this year. But
Yeah,
Higurashi and GTO has changed the trend. 2 in a row.
Yeah, but to be fair, those are like good shows.
What, Suzuka wasn't? Nah,
I don't know. I never watched it.
It's not as good.
It's not that bad.
It's not bad
It's
though.
not that bad as well.
Just
It's not that
bitchy
bad.
girls.
Fuck that show.
You just gotta get used to bitchy girls. Okay, so the next episode, Tori, you're gonna be back for that one, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that's Higurashi season 2. We're just gonna go back to
Yay.
back. We usually wait like 4 months to do a sequel. We're just doing it back to back. A little different.
Yeah. I mean, this was something that me and Hickey talked about as well. I feel like while we didn't necessarily have to do it back to back, I did kind of want to go back and do season 2 as well because it's like, while season 1 sort of wraps up with like an end point, it's like I said as well, right? The entire point of that final episode, like the last couple seconds of that final episode, Rika staring at you through the screen and being like, the mystery is not over, right? It's like, it kind of feels weird to just sort of leave it there and then not touch it again and be like, 6 months later, come back and be like, yeah, let's talk about season 2. What the hell happened in season 1?
Don't remember. I don't remember all the details. All right. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a little different how we usually do these things. But different is good sometimes. And I think Higurashi is a good one to do that for.
Uh-huh.
yeah, instead of doing all 50 episodes in one go, I think this is will give us different perspective at time and different stuff to talk about. And that'll be the next episode. That'll be in 2 weeks. Tori, glad to have you back, as temporary as it is. See you next time, everybody.
We'll see. Peace.
Bye.